I hit the largest state lottery prize ever, $384 million, but shared with nobody. I phoned my relatives, faking a financial crisis, just to see who cared. My mother disconnected the call. My sibling called me a failure. Yet my little sister traveled 200 miles with her final $500. What I did next changed everything. You know that feeling? The one where you're the family's silent shock absorber, always catching everyone else, but no one ever quite catches you. Well, I lived it. And then, one ordinary Saturday night, a secret landed in my lap that was so massive, it didn't just change my life. It ripped back the curtain and showed me who my family really was, and who actually gave a damn when I had nothing at all. My name's Mark, I'm 32. I'm the oldest of three, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the family's invisible cushion. Always there, always reliable. I'm a sales manager, believe it or not, for luxury toilets. Yeah, toilets. And honestly, I'm good at it. I can wax poetic about flush rates, rimless bowls, and bidet attachments. My showroom gleams with chrome, and I convince people that a quiet close is worth every extra dollar. I hit my targets. I stack chairs after events. I'm consistent. Then there's my brother, Dylan. He's 29, the golden child. He's working on a startup, which mostly involves our parents' couch and posting motivational quotes over photos of rented cars. Mom shares them with captions like, "So proud." Dad just nods, like the sun's doing its job. My sister, Jess, she's 24. Soft-spoken, works 2 part-time jobs, and still texts me home safe when it snows. She wasn't born golden. She learned to be helpful. The moment everything shifted, it didn't come with fireworks. It came with roast beef and paper napkins at Sunday dinner. Dylan was holding court, telling some rambling story about meeting an investor at a bar. Mom, as usual, was refilling his plate like he was training for the Olympics. I mentioned, almost as an aside, that I'd gotten Employee of the Quarter. Plaque on my desk, a small bonus. Mom just smiled vaguely at her wine glass. "That's nice, honey." Dylan, without missing a beat, tapped his fork. "Sales, huh? Easy stuff. Just talk pretty." Dad cleared his throat, but it was weak. "Your brother's under pressure, son. Investors take time." I reached for the salt, a familiar, hollow feeling in my gut. But Mom beat me to it. "Oh, by the way," she said, casual as talking about the weather, "Dylan's credit card got some weird charges. We're helping him sort it out, but rent is due. Family helps family." And then, like a spotlight, everyone's eyes landed on me. The background character. The cushion. I swallowed. The roast beef suddenly tasting like ash. "How much?" I asked, my voice a little too steady. "Just a little bridge," Mom chirped. "You always land on your feet." Jess stared at her plate, and I caught the tiniest shake of her head. A silent, desperate plea. "Let it go, Mark," and I did. I chewed. I smiled. I stacked the plates after dinner, like always. But later, alone in my car, I saw a notification glow on my lock screen. One number, too many zeros. My hands went still on the steering wheel. The showroom, the toilets, the stacked plates, all of it shifted. It was like the whole room had quietly tilted, and only I noticed. I didn't text anyone. I didn't drive back. I just sat there, engine off, radio hissing. And in that silence, it hit me. I wasn't the cushion anymore. I was something else. And I needed to know who cared when I had nothing at all. This all started 2 nights earlier. After a grueling day demonstrating soft-closed lids to a couple arguing about grout, I stopped at a gas station. The clerk, bored, pointed at a stack of lottery slips. "Big rollover," he mumbled. "I don't buy tickets. I sell toilets, not dreams." But I had 3 crumpled singles, and my brain just wanted something dumb. "Quick pick," I said. I tucked the ticket into the back of my wallet, behind a laminated sheet of part numbers. Saturday night, I was scrolling past videos of people unboxing kitchen faucets when the lottery results posted. I read them once, twice. My heart started hammering. I got up, turned on the light, laid the ticket on the counter, compared the numbers again. $384 million. Biggest in state history. One winner. My throat went desert dry. I did the math, everyone does. Lump sum, federal state fees. The numbers shrank, but they still didn't fit in my head. I opened my cabinet, laughed at my cheap pasta. I sat on the floor, back against the dishwasher, waiting for a voice to say, "Just kidding." Nothing. Morning came, indifferent. I still had to be at the showroom by 9 o'clock. Still had a training on a new line of rimless bowls with antimicrobial glaze. Still had a mom who would probably ask if I could help Dylan with a tiny thing. That afternoon, an elderly couple came in, asking about ADA heights. I showed them the comfort height models, the elongated seats, the dual flush buttons. And I felt weirdly proud of all of it. People don't think about toilets until they have to. Then they need someone calm who knows the difference between 1.28 GPF and 0.8 on eco. I'm that guy? I guide. I don't push. And I also don't say no. Not at work. Not at home. I kept thinking about a list I'd once made of all the money I'd given Dylan since college. $200 until Friday. $900 for gear, which he returned the next day, in a different color because he'd sold the original. $3,100 for a bridge that became a bridge to another bridge. He paid back $80 once, then told everyone he covered my rent. Mom repeated it at Thanksgiving like a fun fact. With Jess, it was different. She never asked for cash without a receipt. My car battery died, she'd say, eyes down, offering a screenshot of the invoice before I even answered. I'll pay you back in 3 parts. Sometimes, she'd tuck an extra $5 into my pocket with a note. Coffee. Our parents didn't see the difference, or they pretended not to, because seeing it meant doing something. That night after the numbers, I didn't sleep. I fell down a rabbit hole of articles about lottery winners who became ghosts, saints, or headlines. I read about trusts, lawyers, accountants. I read about how, in our state, you could stay anonymous if you used the right structures. I wrote down terms like blind trust, revocable, tax efficient. I made an appointment under a boring alias. The name on the ticket was mine, but the person who claimed it didn't have to be. Sunday dinner happened again. The Golden Child story played. The cushion performed. The trigger landed. Family helps family. I drove home and stood in my kitchen, staring at a post-it note where I'd written, in tiny letters, "You're not a bad son for having boundaries." Jess had given it to me last winter, after I told her I felt guilty for wanting peace. I decided I needed proof. Not of who loved me. Love is cheap in words and expensive in actions, but of who would pick up when it cost them something. The plan formed with the same bland practicality I used to schedule deliveries. It felt cold. It also felt like the only way to cut through the noise. I wasn't out to humiliate anyone. I just wanted to stop arguing with a feeling and get an answer. First, I had to lock down the basics. Monday morning, I called a lawyer from behind a stack of brochures. We met in a small office with 2 bright lights and a fern that desperately needed water. She listened, then said, "Anonymity is doable here. We'll build a trust to claim. We'll build a second trust for giving. We'll put all requests through a process, not people. But the hardest part won't be the paperwork." "What's the hardest part?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "Saying no and wearing it," she said, her eyes steady. "People will call you selfish. They will say you owe them your life. Decide now what you believe." I believed I was tired of paying admission to be in my own family. That evening, Mom sent a long text about how Dylan had so much potential but just needed a soft place to land. She wrote, "I'm putting you down for $1,500. We'll square it later." No question mark. I didn't respond. I just watched my phone buzz on the table like a trapped fly. Tuesday, I bought a cheap flip phone with cash and a prepaid card. I typed a short script on my regular phone, notes, so I wouldn't improvise. I would call each of them from the flip phone. I would say the same thing. I would ask for the same small thing. Not a wire, not a plan, just $60 to get through 2 days. A number small enough to be about care, not investment. If they said yes, I'd accept, and then I'd return it with interest and an apology. If they said no, I'd accept that, too. No scenes, no lectures, just data. Wednesday night, after closing, I sat on a plastic chair in the warehouse, next to pallets of boxed toilets labeled fragile. It made me laugh. Everything was fragile. I breathed in the clean cardboard smell, opened the flip phone, and scrolled to new contact. I started with Mom, then Dylan, then Jess. I watched the second hand on my watch jump from line to line like a metronome. I promised myself I wouldn't change the question mid-call to make it easier on them. I promised myself I'd listen. "Call 1, Mom, hello." She sounded hurried, annoyed, like I'd interrupted her schedule. "Mom, it's me. Sorry for the number. My phone died. I swallowed. I'm in a bind. I need a small favor. Just $60 to get through to Friday." Silence. Then a sharp exhale. "Mark, If you'd budget like Dylan used to. Mom, I haven't eaten today. I'll pay you back Friday. You're being dramatic. Her voice went ice cold. I'm on my way to get my nails done. I can't enable bad habits. Call your brother. He's always had a head for money. Please, I said, hating how it sounded. You're 32, she snapped. Take responsibility. Click. I stared at the gray cinder block wall until the dial tone faded. Call 2. Dylan, he answered on speaker. Music thumped. Brew, Dylan. It's me. Quick one. I need $60 for 2 days. I'll give you 80 back Friday. He laughed like I'd told a joke. You, Mr. Toilets? Dude, hustle. Do a side gig. Sell some seat warmers. I'm asking you. Bad vibes, he said. Besides, I'm leveraged right now. Everything's tied up in a deal. Also, wouldn't want to create dependency, you know? People gotta stand on their own, too. His voice dropped, a sneer. You always look down on me for asking. Tables turn. I didn't look down on you, I said, my voice rising. I fed you. Grammar police, he scoffed. Loser. Click. The word landed in the same place it always did. Age 17. Cafeteria. Borrow me your lunch money. And me nodding because saying no felt like a fire alarm. Call 3. Jess. She picked up on the second ring. Hey, are you okay? Where are you? This isn't your number. Her voice was laced with immediate concern. I'm okay. I mean, no? I'm at a motel near the interstate. Long story. I need $60 until Friday. I'll pay you back the second it hits. If you can't, I get it. I have $520 in my account, she said, like reading a checklist. I'll bring cash. Text me the address. Jess, it's 200 miles. I'm leaving now, she said. Eat something if you can. Drink water. Keep the door locked. I'll stop for gas and be there by midnight. You don't have to. I know, she said, her voice soft but firm. I want to. The line went quiet. I put the phone down and let my head hit the wall. The warehouse hum filled the space like a soft anthem. 3.5 hours later, 3 knocks on a cheap motel door. Our old code. I opened it to Jess, wind-tangled hair, red eyes, hoodie pulled tight. She pressed an envelope into my palm. There's 500. I'll be okay. I brought granola bars. You're eating one now. I sank onto the edge of the bed and told her the truth, not the number. I'm not broke, I said, my voice thick. I asked to see who would show up. Mom hung up. Dylan laughed. You drove. She just sank onto the bed beside me. I figured, she said, her voice quiet. I'm not surprised. I'm just sad. I'm sorry I tested you, I managed to say. She shook her head. You didn't test me. You gave me a chance to be who I say I am. We sat in silence, the air conditioner rattling, a train far off. My chest stopped burning. This isn't about revenge, I said, finally. This is about closure. What does closure look like? She asked, turning to me. Cash back tomorrow, I said. Then lawyers. Then rules. Rules like what? Like we stop paying to be loved? I told her. Like, no means no, not convince me. At 9 a.m., we met at the bank. I returned her $500, plus gas, plus extra for a proper breakfast. She tried to push it back. I closed her fingers over the envelope. Non-refundable, I said. She cried in that tiny, quiet way people cry when they're more used to swallowing it. At 11:30, we sat in my lawyer's office again. I told Jess what we were building, a trust to claim the prize, a firewall between me and the circus, and a second fund for scholarships and emergencies. Real ones, with clear criteria, so decisions weren't about who shouted loudest. The lawyer ran through the plan. Anonymity is possible here, she said. All requests go through my office. You will not be reachable by people who refuse process. Jess raised her hand like we were back in school. Can we make a scholarship for kids who work and study and get told it's not enough? Yes, I said. We'll make it boring and strong. We kept it simple. No dramatic purchases, no headlines. The trust claimed. A benign statement went to the press from an anonymous local. In our town, rumors grew legs. That's fine. Legs can run in circles. The call started anyway. Day 1. 10 missed calls from Mom. 4 from Dylan. 1 from Dad. I let them ring. Mom's voicemail. I heard something. You didn't tell me because you're spiteful. Come over now. Dylan's text. Bro, front me. 5K, quick flip. Day 2. 23 missed calls. Mom. This family runs on trust. Dylan. You owe me for believing in you when no one else did. Dad. Call your mother. Jess forwarded me 3 texts from Mom. Are you with him? He's being dramatic. Don't enable. Jess didn't answer her. We went to a hardware store and bought her a new deadbolt. Day 3. Mom switched to guilt. My blood pressure is through the roof. Dylan switched to rage. Snake. Dad sent a longer one. Son, money is complicated. Let us manage. We've always managed things. I sent 1 text from a new number to the family chat. I'm fine. Don't come to my apartment. Don't contact Jess about me. All money requests must go through Attorney K. That's the rule. If you want to talk, it won't be about money. Mom replied in under a minute. You're ungrateful. We gave you everything. I typed, deleted, typed, deleted. I put the phone down. A week passed. The showroom felt different, lighter. I still smiled at people who made jokes like, royal flush, huh? I still explained trap ways with patience. But between customers, I made lists about my own life. Sleep more. Say no. Learn to cook something not from a box. Jess and I met on Sundays. Coffee, groceries. We built a budget where she wasn't punished for being alive. Dental. New tires before they explode. A line called Joy, with $50 for flowers or a book or a ticket to something dumb and happy. I placed a protected fund in her name with a financial advisor whose favorite word is no. Guardrails everywhere. Not because I don't trust Jess, but because I trust the world to take advantage. Meanwhile, the family machine spun. Aunt texts, your mom is heartbroken. Cousin DMs, Dylan says you iced him out. A neighbor, is it true? I said the same thing to everyone. I'm okay. I'm offline for a bit. 2 weeks in, Mom showed up at my building with a casserole, like we were in a sitcom where carbs cure boundaries. The doorman called me. I went down. She stood in the lobby like a statue. Mark, she said, thrusting the dish at me, smiling a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Let's stop this silliness. Mom, I said, my voice flat. You hung up on me when I asked for $60. I knew it was a stunt, she snapped. You were trying to manipulate me. I said I hadn't eaten. I countered. You told me to take responsibility. You're 32. And this lottery nonsense. You think money replaces family. I think family shouldn't be transactional, I said. I think saying no shouldn't be treated like a crime. She sniffed. Your brother needs a new start. A small investment. $50,000. It's nothing to you. It's everything to me if it keeps the old story running. I said, my resolve like steel. New rule. I don't fund Dylan's ideas or clean up his fires. If he wants help, I'll pay for a therapist and a financial counselor, not a lifestyle. You're cruel, she said, her voice shaking. No, I said. I'm done being useful at the expense of being a person. She left the casserole. I gave it to the doorman. He shrugged and said, it's okay, but salty. That night, Dylan called from a blocked number. I answered. Congrats, big man, he said, a forced cheer in his voice. Everyone knows. Time to share the wealth. I'm not discussing money with you, I said calmly. If you want to talk about life, we can try. Spare me, he snapped. After everything I did for you, you borrowed $12,940 from me over 9 years, I stated plainly. You paid back $140. He snorted. You kept a spreadsheet. Psycho. I did, I said. New rule. I'm not a lender. So this is revenge, he spat. This isn't about revenge, I said, steady. This is about closure. You're dead to me, he growled. Then, 2 seconds later, a text. Okay, but serious. $20K right now, and I'll never ask again. I blocked the number. Days got quiet. And good. I learned to make eggs that didn't taste like sadness. I started running in the mornings before the showroom opened. I slept. I answered emails from the scholarship admin we hired. We set criteria that made sense. Proof of work hours, community college preference, short essays that were about real life, not fancy words. We launched softly. Applications flooded in, stories that sounded like Jess, stories that sounded like me. We send yes. I imagine them buying a textbook without bargaining with their own needs. A month in, Dad texted, coffee. He picked a diner with big windows and bad art. He looked smaller than I remembered. He wrapped both hands around his mug like it would steady him. I should have said more, he said, his voice raspy. When you were kids. Yeah, I said. It wasn't a whip. It was a fact. I let your mother set the weather, he said, looking out the window. I thought I was keeping the peace. I was just keeping you quiet. I nodded. I don't want to fight, I told him. I want a different pattern. He nodded back. I'm sorry, he said. They were small words. They mattered. He didn't ask for money. I didn't offer. We ate pancakes and talked about a baseball game, like normal people. Mom didn't soften. She escalated. She sent photos of us as kids with captions like, "Remember?" I remembered. I also remembered counting out cash to keep Dylan from being evicted while Mom said, "You were so mature." At the 6-week mark, a letter arrived at the lawyer's office from Dylan, titled Proposal. It was written like a pitch deck, with charts pulled off the internet. It asked for $250,000 for a luxury lifestyle brand. Under team, he'd listed Mom, operations, and Dad, logistics. Under advisor, he put my name. The last slide said, "We are family." The lawyer called it impressive in its boldness. I called Jess. We laughed until we cried, then just cried. I wrote one last email through the lawyer. Simple. I am not participating. Do not contact Jess about me. If you want a relationship, it will be built on conversations that are not about money. Otherwise, we are done. The lawyer sent it. I turned my phone face down and went for a run. The air felt clean. Closure isn't fireworks. It's a quiet you notice one Tuesday when the coffee tastes like coffee and not dread. I don't have a dramatic reveal story. I didn't show up to a family party with a camera crew and a giant check. There was no speech, no applause. Just smaller, truer things. Sunday mornings, Jess and I walk by the river with takeout cups. We argue about whether ducks or geese are funnier. She laughs from her stomach now. She doesn't apologize for taking the last muffin. Her car starts without a prayer. She has a dentist appointment on the calendar she won't cancel. At work, I still sell toilets. I still like it. People still make jokes. I still smile. I've learned that dignity lives in knowing your craft. Even if your craft is porcelain. I help an older man choose a seat that won't hurt his knees. And I think, this is actually good. Money didn't make my job smaller. It made the rest of my life less loud, so I can hear myself when I'm doing it. Mom and I are complicated. She sends photos sometimes. I don't reply to the ones with captions like, "Family first." I do reply to the one where Jess is 6 in a sunflower dress. She's still that kind. I write. Mom writes back, "You've changed." I think, yes. Finally, Dylan cycles between silence and new numbers. I don't pick up. The trust pays for a therapist if he ever calls the right person. I hope he does. I'm not the net anymore. Dad texts me baseball scores and low-stakes questions. We meet for pancakes once a month. He tries. I meet him there. Our conversations are small and clean. That feels right. The scholarship fund emails me names I don't share with anyone. I read essays late at night about kids closing at the grocery store and opening laptops at 2 a.m. I recognize the grit. We send yes. I keep one sentence taped to my fridge. I will not pay to be loved. Under it, in Jess's handwriting, I will give where it heals. That's my system now. That's my budget. If you're the cushion in your family, I don't have a magic trick. I have a boring one. Write the rules you wish someone had given you. Follow them even when people call you cold. Count actions, not speeches. Watch who drives 200 miles with their last $500 and who hangs up over 60. My name is Mark. I sell expensive toilets and sleep through the night. I won a lottery once and learned the real jackpot wasn't money. It was finally saying no and not apologizing. And dinner still happens. Sometimes it's just me and Jess at a diner with bad art, splitting pie. We pay for our own plates. We leave a good tip. We walk out into the kind of quiet you can live in. So, tell me, what would you have done in my place? Have you ever had to draw a line in the sand with family? I really want to hear your thoughts in the comments below.